Steve O'Shaughnessy from North Bennett Street School. We're here at our facility in Arlington. And Andy Latigo, conservation consultant, is inside teaching students flat and ornamental plaster. We began today mixing up materials that Andy brought to our facility, which included prepared lime and sand putty. The first coat had a higher percentage of sand. It's fine sand, but it's higher in percentage to lime. And that was troweled directly onto our prepared wall surfaces of the lathed wall. The second coat of plaster was laid onto rock lath, and it has a fine and much smaller percentage of sand as well as gypsum. The third and final coat has almost no sand in it. It is very thin and very fine. These students have been studying online for this 8-week course all the various topics that we're now covering in the hands-on intensive here at North Bennett.
What a low residency program means to me is I'm able to keep my daytime job and study kind of at my time schedule and apply it to the work that I'm doing currently. So it has a lot of advantages for work I'm doing now and what I want to do in the future.
I think the low residency of the program has an advantage because we get to know each other really quick and we became a team.
I live locally down in Duxbury, but I have a family and I work full-time during the day. So this program allows me to study the program that I want to study without sacrificing my family.
The next part of the demonstration today included running plaster ornamental moldings. What Andy was doing here is running what's called a horse across a track onto which he has prepared a relief material, which is just a thin coat of wash of soap on a brush that's laid across the surface to allow the plaster to be released after it is set up.
What I like about preservation is the hands-on work with the historic houses and the architectural details that I get to work with.
It's sustainable, and we need to work on all buildings. All buildings need to be preserved because they should last for a long period of time.
What interests me about preservation is the potential stories buildings can tell. There might be some hidden history within the building or something that written history doesn't want to record, that maybe in discovery of the building and trying to renovate it, preserve it, might tell and might bring to light, might have value to the community.
Today, Rich Freiberg is teaching the Intro to Timber Framing to BAC students. So what we're doing here is checking the timbers for reference faces. There's a vertical reference face and a horizontal reference face. What we're also doing is laying the timber out for joinery and cutting the joinery with the traditional timber framing tools. Now we're cutting the joinery into the timber frames using 1.5-inch timber framing chisels, mallets, and boring machines. These are 19th century machines that are drilling the rough holes into the timbers, leaving radiuses on the outer perimeters of the length and width of the joinery. Ultimately, the students will come back and chop the joinery with the chisels and mallets. This last step is testing the joints, taking the mortise and tenons and fitting them together in advance of any part of a frame going up. Usually there's a testing and a test fitting that's going on, and that's what students are doing here.
The program in historic preservation is going to have a tremendous impact on my career, and it's going to solidify all the information and knowledge that I've gained over the years through personal experience and put me into a professional level.
I think it has direct relation to my career now. I've got a couple historic projects that I'm involved in and gives me a bigger, broader scope for what I'm doing.
This program will relate to my career because as an architect I can appreciate buildings that have been done in other eras and the beauty of maintaining the type of architecture that it's being preserved.
All of these steps of cutting mortise and tenon joints And checking reference faces and assembling the joints, all of this is done on all timber frames for hundreds of years.